Hi, I'm Ozzie Hall. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. In this video, we'll look at the Solina String Ensemble by Behringer. This is a reproduction of the ARP string ensemble. If you have listened to electronic, pop, or rock music from the 70s, you'll be familiar with the sound of this string machine. Some of the most famous songs featuring this iconic instrument include Funeral for a Friend by Elton John, Oxygen by Jean-Michel Jarre, Dreamweaver by Gary Wright, and so many others. Behringer have an introductory video that gives a good overview of this instrument. See the link above. Rather than reproduce that video, I'm going to pick up where it left off. First, I'll do a very quick review of the features by reviewing the front panel controls. To the left you have MIDI in and the master tune. These red push buttons enable the different ranks of the main string section. This is the viola sound. The violin sound is the same, just an octave higher. And you can play both ranks together. At this point, let me introduce the effects section. This is where the magic happens. Modulation is a chorus effect. Phaser is exactly what it says. The color switch changes the amount of resonance to the phaser. The rate control changes the speed of the sweep of the phaser. And that's the classic string ensemble sound. If you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe. Let's quickly review the other ranks. Violin and viola ranks are fully polyphonic over the entire 4-octave range. By contrast, cello and contrabass are monophonic. Also, they have a limited range of an octave and a half. All 4 stringed instrument sounds can be played together. And with the effects, the trumpet sound is brighter, but with no tonal change throughout the note. Let's listen to that. Note that the crescendo or attack has no effect on the trumpet. The sustain length does have an effect on the trumpet. The horn button doesn't work on its own. It will automatically engage the trumpet sound. The horn button modifies the trumpet sound with a fixed resonant filter. I think it adds a very nice character to the trumpet sound. And let's listen with effects. That covers most of the front panel controls. Now I'd like to explore the patch points that have been provided on this instrument. Let's manually patch the modulation rather than enabling it with the front panel controls. We've disabled the mod and phaser. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to disconnect the audio out from the rear, and we're going to connect to this audio out right here on the front panel. We're going to be listening to the mod out, so let's move this output. And let's patch in the output to the mod in and listen. If we turn on the modulation, we get nothing because we've patched out here. Now let's patch in the phaser. We're going to move our output cable to the output of the phaser. And then we're going to take the output from the modulation and patch that into the input of the phaser. Now let's listen again. We haven't really accomplished anything that we could not have done from the front panel buttons. What we have done is demonstrate the patchability of this instrument. The original ARP string ensemble did not have any of these patch points. So let's look at some other patch variations. We're going to bring in the System 55 now and patch between it and the Solina. In this example, we're going to insert the fixed filter bank into the signal path of the Solina going through the effects. So we have our main output going into a multiple, and we're going into an output mixer as well as the fixed filter bank. The reason we're using an output mixer is we want to be able to blend in the original signal so that we're just using the fixed filter bank to add some bandpass filtering that will be boosted. So let's listen to the dry signal path. And we're going to take the output of the fixed filter bank and add it into the mix. Next, we're going to take this output and route it to the end of the effects chain. And we'll have to take the output of the mixer and get that routed back into the input of the signal chain. Here it is with effects. Without the fixed filter bank. Now let's change the fixed filter bank settings and listen to the sound difference. And that's an example of inserting the fixed filter bank into the signal chain with the effects. So we've rack mounted the Solina String Ensemble. These rack ears were not expensive. They're available from Behringer, I think about $10 plus tax. And above the Solina, we have the Behringer 2600. And we're going to use these I/O points to integrate these two machines. So the first thing we want to look at is the VCA Control In. one of the important things to understand about the VCA Control In is that this works in addition to the AR envelope. Attack is labeled crescendo and release is labeled sustain length. We're going to use the LFO on the 2600 to control the VCA through here, and we'll take the triangle out, route it through a passive attenuator, and plug it into the VCA Control In. Now, when we play a note, we can enable this triangle modulation. I'm going to unhook this. The next thing we want to do is we want to connect the trigger and gate outs to the gate and trigger inputs on the 2600 so that we can trigger these envelopes from the Solina. And of course, we're controlling it through MIDI. We're going to take the output from the ADSR and route it through this same passive attenuator and route it into the VCA Control In. What we'd like to do is to somewhat disable this AR, and here's how we're going to do it. We're going to take the envelope out and route it into this voltage processor, and we're going to take the inverted output and route it into this input of the second voltage processor, and we're also going to route the output, inverted output of the second processor, and so our positive will become a negative, and then it will be inverted again to become a positive. Now, this is going to be way too loud. So first thing we're going to do is attenuate that. And the second thing we're going to do is to add a negative voltage so that it offsets the effect of the built-in AR. Now, the only thing that will give us any volume is this ADSR envelope. And let's get a little sustain. So now we've shaped our envelope to give us a slow attack, a long decay to this sustain level, and then a fairly quick release. Now let's add the modulation. So we've modified our envelope to have a somewhat slow attack, a longer decay, a sustain level, and then a release. And you notice because of the trigger, when we play an additional note, it will re-trigger the envelope. The next thing we want to do is to route the output of the Solina into the input of the filter through the VCA and out to this output. So we're not going to need this output. we're also not going to need to control this VCA externally. So the first thing we're going to do is take the audio out and route it to the filter mixer. And it's there, but it's not very loud. So let's run it through the preamp, and we've got it set to 10x and the gain all the way up. And then we'll take that output and route it into the filter mixer. And now we've got a nicely articulated timbre through the 2600's filter. One other thing to note, I've got the VCA all the way up so that the VCF signal is just flowing through the VCA. And that's a much more convincing trumpet because we have timbre variations throughout the sound because of this filter and envelope. The next thing we want to do is we want to take the output of the filter and we want to route it into the phaser, and then we'll take the output of the phaser and insert that where the VCF output goes back into the VCA. So let's listen to that. And let's take it a step further and go through the modulation. That's truly magic. Now let's patch in the phaser as well. So there's an example of not only setting up the Solina as a sound source for a paraphonic voice, but also routing back into the effects so that we get that full Solina sound, but with the addition of a filter to give that trumpet sound a more convincing trumpet character. Let me invite you again to like and subscribe. The two main objectives of this video were to, number one, share the magic of this iconic string ensemble sound. Number two, explore the possibilities of using this instrument and its effects in the context of a modular system like the System 55 or a semi-modular system like the 2600. Please let me know in the comments how you might use this classic sound in your music. Also, what other patching can you imagine between the Solina String Ensemble and your modular or semi-modular synthesizer? Thanks for watching.